Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to focus on this photo here and whether people think it's anything that somebody would buy. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steve Gerard. I am a photographer here in Montreal. If you're new here, this channel is all about photography. We talk about all kinds of random things. And today we are going to talk about one specific random thing, and that is whether a photo is worth selling. I see a lot of people on social media asking for feedback on their photos and whether they're at a standard where they could charge for photos, whether they could sell prints of photos. And they'll get all kinds of feedback. Some of it will be negative, some of it will be positive, some of it I will agree with, and some of it I'll be just like, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. And who are these people that are answering the questions? Are they people that we should be listening to at all? Maybe they're just beginners and have their own opinion. Maybe they have some kind of baggage attached to their answer, or maybe they are an expert in their field. Maybe they're a successful photographer and somebody that we should actually listen to. But even then, they might be a photographer in a completely different part of the world, in a completely different genre of photography, with their own point of view and their own ideas about what makes a good photo and what doesn't. So everything is subjective, and art is subjective, photography is art. So who should we be listening to when deciding whether a photo is valuable or not? So just for fun, I thought I'd do my own little experiment, and I posted on social media this photo. And alongside it, I posted the question, do you think people would buy a photo like this? If so, for how much? Now that question is a little bit open-ended and deliberately so. It didn't say whether it was my photo or not. Spoiler alert, it's not. It was just a really simple kind of yes or no kind of question. And all I wanted was initial reactions from people about whether this picture was good or not in their view, whether they thought it could be sold or not. And if so, kind of what kind of value would they put on it? And predictably, I got a myriad of answers. Here's just a few of those answers. So the question was, do you think people would buy a photo like this? If so, for how much? Somebody called Rose said, probably not. Somebody else said, no, far too oversaturated and flat. Another answer, don't think so. There's no subject or point to attract the eye. I kind of agree with that. I'd rather have a picture of a potato. But not everybody was negative. This one says, someone out there is looking for this. Everyone has different tastes. It may be good in a therapist's office. Makes the brain relax. Art is subjective. Personally, it's a little oversaturated for my liking. Somebody even offered to re-edit it for me and bring out the clouds a little bit more in the sky. How about this? Put a nice quote on it in a beautiful font and boom, it's on your therapist's wall next week. It needs more detail, more going on. It needs something to catch the eye. I'm totally not trying to be rude in any way, but I think anyone can go and take a picture like this. Quite a few people mentioned that there's no object or subject or something to draw your eye. This one said, in your photo, it's like a blank canvas. It's not my photo, but anyway. There is no boat, person, tree, house, or anything that the viewer will focus on within the picture. That is correct, but does that mean it's a good picture or not? This one was interesting. They said, this is a very interesting shot. For me, while it seems like it should be calm and comforting, it's quietly dissettling. So I do think it would fit in well in an office or a doctor's office, but it has almost a very specific purpose. I think it's because it's so linear that it's almost abstract. This one responded, any photo can sell. As an individual piece, this would be a tough sell, but as part of a set of work that concentrates around a theme or certain look, then it would do better. Now that is quite an interesting perspective. How would it look in black and white? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. People will buy basically anything. It's only worth what someone is willing to pay. Boom. It's only worth what someone's willing to pay. And somebody paid quite a lot for this photo because it is not my photo. It is taken by Andreas Gursky. And in 2011, this photo sold for $4.3 million. Now, I have to stress, this little experiment was never to make fun of people. It was never to make people look silly because they didn't know what the picture was. I would think that out of 1,000 people, maybe 20 of those would know what that picture was. And actually, from all those comments, I agree with quite a few of them. If it was my picture, I would have edited it differently. I probably would have been looking for something that would be a point of reference, like a person or something to draw the eye rather than just the straight lines. So if anybody had asked me my opinion about that picture, I would have given critical feedback, and I would never have thought, unless I knew already, that it was as valuable as it is. There's also a lot of things that need to be put into perspective. I'm showing people this picture on social media very small, when in actual fact, the printed photo is nearly 4 meters wide. So you can see the intricacy and you can see all the detail when you're stood looking at the print on a wall. Also, just the fact that it was taken by Andreas Gursky gives it value. He's had other pictures that have sold for millions of dollars before. In fact, in the top 20 most expensive photos ever sold, Andreas Gursky has 5 of them. That's a quarter. Some of you may have seen this one before. This sold for over $3 million, as did this one of the Chicago Board of Trade. And what would happen if I posted this picture on social media and asked for feedback? I think a lot of people would be critical, saying that the crop is too tight, saying that her face looks too red. But this photo, taken by Cindy Sherman, was sold in 2011 as well for $3.8 million. And at the time, that was the most expensive photo ever sold. So let's go back to the original photo that I posted, the Gursky photo, which is called Rhein 2. It's a photograph of the Rhine River in Germany. And some people were talking about how it was edited. And actually, a lot of people would think that it probably wasn't edited hardly at all. They would be wrong. In actual fact, the place where Gursky took this photograph looks pretty different from the finished photo. He took the picture and then he edited out a factory, he edited out people walking their dogs, and simplified everything just down to those straight lines and colours that you see. When asked about his process, Gursky said this: "I carried this idea for a picture around with me for a year and a half and thought about whether I ought to perhaps change my viewpoint. In the end, I decided to digitize the pictures and leave out the elements that bothered me." So you might be asking yourself, what is the point of this photo? What is he trying to say, and why would somebody pay millions and millions of dollars for it when it doesn't come with a set of Ferraris? Again, Gursky said, "I wasn't interested in an unusual, possibly picturesque view of the Rhine, but in the most contemporary possible view of it. Paradoxically, this view of the Rhine cannot be obtained in situ, so you can't actually go and see it as it is on the photograph. It's a fictitious construction which was required to provide an accurate image of a modern river." That's what he was trying to say. A modern river. This is his interpretation of what is a modern river in his mind. And that will resonate with some people, and it won't resonate with probably even more people. And that's fine, right? One art critic said this: "They called it vibrant, beautiful and memorable. I should say unforgettable, contemporary twist on the romantic landscape." Whereas another art critic said this: "A sludgy image of the grey Rhine under grey skies." Doesn't really sound vibrant and beautiful like the first art critic said, but does that mean she doesn't like it? And what do you think? Do you like it? Would you buy it? Probably not for that price. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it and whether you think it is valuable. And if you took it, would you be proud of it? Or would you just throw it away? So again, like I said before, this was in no way to make fun of people's opinions on this picture. It was just an interesting experiment to find out what people thought if they didn't know what the picture was in the first place. I even had one person say that it would be better if it had the Loch Ness Monster in the water. But really, this all goes back to my original point about people asking for feedback and criticism of their photos and asking whether they're worth anything or if they can charge for their photography, if they're at a certain level, and just trying to get some kind of worth for their own photography from the internet. And the big takeaway from this little experiment is you can't trust everybody's opinion, and you do have to kind of follow your gut instinct to a certain extent. Just because people are saying that they don't really like it, or that you should have edited it differently, or you should have cropped it differently, or you should have had a focal point in it, you should take that advice to a certain extent. You should listen to what they have to say, but at the end of the day, it's your photo. You have to do something that you really believe in. Trust your gut instinct. If you like it, there will be plenty of people that don't like it, but there will also be people that do. And those people are your clients. If you're looking for clients, those people are the people who are going to value what you do and what you create. To quote another photographer you may have heard of, Andy Warhol, he said, "Everything has its beauty, but not everyone sees it." The last thing I'll say is be careful who you get your opinions from. Be careful who is giving you advice. Maybe seek out people who you really admire and trust and think they will connect with what you are doing and give you genuinely useful feedback, whether that's good or bad. If you can find somebody you trust and admire that will give you feedback, then that feedback is invaluable. And speaking of value, I hope you got some value from this video. If you did, consider subscribing and sticking around for the next one, because we have more on the way, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.